Alright, so episode 9. This was the last episode, and this episode made me pissed. This episode made me so mad. It made me so sad. I was like, whew. And then the way it left off, I was like, y'all are not allowed to do this to me. Please. Anyways, so it starts off with there was a young man. I think his name was Subaki. And I think he was like technically a Jedi. And so basically, he was going back to, somewhere. There was like a young woman, she was a princess, and her father had basically been overthrown and killed, basically assassinated. And this is basically like what do you call it? I forgot what the term is that you call this kind of stuff. I forgot what the term is. It'll probably come to me later. But anyways, her father is overthrown by her aunt, and this woman is like walking in the dark side, and I'm like, oh god. And so I don't know if she was a full-blown Sith. I think she was, but like I said, she was walking in the dark side. Anyways, usurper. She was a usurper. That's the term I was looking for. I know this is not the medieval times, but she was a usurper. And she was a dark side wielding usurper. Anyways, so he comes back because he hears that her father is gone. But all the while, he has been having these crippling visions of somebody dying right in front of him. And he's like, I don't know what's going on here. And so this young woman, the princess, Misa, obviously they had something going on. He loves her, or they used to be, an old flame or something like that. And I think that there was a part, if I remember correctly, I think it was his master who was telling him something along the lines of, look, you need to be careful because if you go back there trying to go help that girl with, whatever's going on with her situation, and you mess up and you slip over to the dark side, I'm not going to be able to help you. And it kind of reminded me of, again, in the 3rd episode, when Anakin went to, what's his name, Yoda, and was telling him about how he was having those visions. Because remember, he was having visions too. And he was like, I'm having these visions. And he was like, visions of what are you having? And he was like, visions of Padme, and it's bad, and she's dying, and I'm trying to save her. And he was like, you have to let go, you must. And he didn't listen to not a word that came out of Yoda's mouth. He didn't do any of it. And so he was telling him, he was like blatantly telling him, you're gonna have to let go of all this stuff, because if you keep going down the way you're going, you're gonna end up going towards the dark side, point blank. And so it was basically the same thing that guy told him. And he still went through the motions. Like, I'm like, oh, we are looking at Anakin all over again, a little bit for the most part. But anyway, so and then too, Emperor Palpatine, he was the one who was sitting next to Anakin. Boy, I tell you, that man worked on that man. He was legit like he was like the devil that sits on your shoulder, that convinces you to do, that talks you into doing everything that you know you shouldn't do. He was there every step of the way, and nobody was around. I'm like, nobody's around to stop this man. But anyway, that was before they knew who he was and what he was capable of, and what he really was setting out to do. But anyways, again, the parallel with Palpatine and Anakin, him telling Anakin, oh, I knew this guy, from the dark side, who could do something midichlorians, this, life, that, and then produce life. And then he was like, oh, really? How do you do that? And he was like, oh, well, it's, a dark side power. And then after, the guy who taught him, he killed the guy. And I was like, really? But he's telling Anakin all of this stuff, and like I said, nobody's over here like stopping him. I'm thinking like, oh, he's been spending a lot of time with Palpatine lately. What's that about? But anyways, and telling him, basically putting these ideas in his head, like, oh, you want to save Padme? Well, if you kind of, walk that fence of the dark side, you can have the powers to save her, because, apparently bringing people back to life is a dark side power. But anyways, so he goes there anyways to help her, and there are these other two that were like with them, helping them get through, and just the shenanigans that they were like going through the entire time and all this. And then basically, once they get there, like I said, like, I'm thinking maybe this woman's not going to be as powerful. Again, another woman Jedi, or another woman Sith rather. So they do all this, and then they basically, them two idiots get taken as a hostage. So, there's not much they could do because they didn't want, her to kill them. And then she was like, surrendered to me. And he was like, never. And then she has these masked individuals fighting him. And I don't know if it was like a mental trick or something she was playing on him, and then she was basically one of the masked individuals, and he accidentally slays her like right in front of his very face. And it played out all like his vision, and he was like, oh my god, this was the vision that I was having, this is what it was trying to warn me. And he was like freaking out and losing his mind. Like, he was already messed up because the visions were already having their effect on him, and he was like losing his mind. And like I said, this animation, this cartoon, the way they did it, it made it so, like, it made it really, let's just say they did a really good job making, like, helping me understand how much he was losing his mind going through all this. And so he's losing his mind, and then he starts to lose his mind even more after he takes the mask off and he realizes that it's her, and he's like screaming, and then her aunt is like, you want me to help you? And he was like, get away from me. And he was like, I can help you bring her back to life. And he was like, I'm not doing that. Like, he was like, you can't do that for me. She was like, I can help bring her back to life. And he was like, no, that's impossible. And she was like, oh, it is, with the dark side. And I was like, don't do it, don't fall for it. And he was like, oh, you have to help me help her. And so she was like, just put your hand right here. So she literally takes his hand and puts it on her, and they legit used the dark side to bring this girl back from the dead. And basically she was like, I'll keep it this way if you become my apprentice. And I was like, but why? Like, are you trying to start the Jedi Order? I mean, yeah, because I think at this time in this episode, the Jedi, not the Jedis, but the Sith Order was like gone, I think. And so I'm thinking, I mean, I guess, like, who's gonna pass up on a chance? Like, if you're literally trailblazing, or you're trying to start back up something important, like, of course, how the Sith Order was important to the Siths, you're gonna want somebody that's powerful in the Force, or that can be in the dark side, to be an apprentice, so that you can, you can continue, what you got going on. So that makes sense. But I was like, dang, she really got him too. She got him good. She was like, if you want me to keep her alive, you have to be my apprentice. And he was like, he legit just like gave up and was like, fine, I'll do it. And I was like, dang it, he did it. She was like, she was so victorious. She was like, ha ha ha, yeah, I got you. She was like, come on, let's go. And then the girl was like, what is going on? What happened? What are you doing? And she was like so confused, and the episode ends like that. And I'm like, I know y'all didn't just do this to me. Like, she legit woke up from the dead confused. She was confused. She didn't know what was going on. She didn't know why she was still alive after seeing herself basically get disemboweled, and then doesn't understand why he is going with her. And she was, I felt so bad for her because she was so confused. Like, and it's like, how do you explain that? Like, how do you explain it? And I'm like, well, at least, unlike when Anakin went to the dark side, Padme died. She still died. Like, Emperor Palpatine was like, in your anger, you killed her. After he done hyped him up all the way to the dark side, just so he could be able to keep her alive. She still died. And then he blamed it on him. But at least she was still alive. But still, that don't make the situation that much better. I was like, wow, I can't. Like, I literally sat back and I was like, wow, I can't believe that they really gonna they gonna leave us like this. I was like, wow, I was like, oh God, oh my God, like I was like, that episode was something else, yo. I'm hoping that they have like when the season 2 comes out, that it picks up. Like, I need to see what happens with that. The whole thing with Ocho and Lop. I think there was like another episode where it kind of opened. Oh yeah, with Kara. They need to make part 2s of all of them episodes. But anyways, this series was great. This series was really good. Like I said, I didn't think it was gonna be as good as it was. I'm really glad I watched it. And I hate that it's not canon, but it makes for like a good, like, I guess kind of like side thing, or like a multiversal kind of thing. Like, hey, Star Wars could make a multiverse. Hey, Marvel did it. Unless the idea of the multiverse is like patented, then y'all should definitely not do that. But anyways, this was such a great series, y'all. This was so good. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know how you feel. Like, was I a little bit, I feel like I was a bit over the top in these videos. I was just really excited because, like I said, this was a great series, and I wanted to do this series with you guys, okay? So don't just tell me, if I was doing too much, or, tell me how you feel about the series in the comments. Obviously, spoiler alert if you didn't catch that before. Still late now, but anyways, tell me what y'all think in the comments.